The conversation we're about to have is about this new Zacharias Kunuk movie, Uiksaringitara. I love this conversation, and Nyla's going to be here in a moment, and Zorga's going to be here in a moment. And the conversation that we had was about how sometimes a movie makes you feel so seen because there are things that you understand that maybe the rest of the audience does not. And honestly, like, it doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what kind of movie experience you're having. If the movie speaks your language in that way, I mean, like, literally tells you something about you that you don't get to see on the screen, I just want you to like, look at their faces as they kind of like light up describing what this movie has done for them. It was just such an absolute delight. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Here we go. To talk about this movie, we've got two Inuk artists from Igloolik. Nyla Innuksuk is a filmmaker, and Zorga Qaunaq is an actor. She plays Millie on North of North. Hello, both of you. Good morning. How's it going? Nice to have you here. How are you?
Hi. Great, thanks. So happy to be here.
I'm delighted that you're here. Listen, before we get into this movie, I mentioned that you're both from Igloolik. That's a community where Zacharias lives and makes movies. The movie that so many people have a relationship with is Atanarjua, which is the Fast Runner. It was the first movie to be written, directed, acted entirely Inuktitut. Won big in Cannes in 2001, considered one of the greatest Canadian films of all time. I'll ask both of you how you watch Zacharias' work or how you connect to it. Maybe Nyla, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so I was at the time very much obsessed with movies. I was obsessed with horror movies growing up and was a teenager making things. And my father, who is an actor in Igloolik, was acting in Atanarjua. And it was I think I was in first year university at Ryerson studying film when the TIFF premiere happened. And so it was really cool to see this kind of, I mean, such a amazing movie and such a well-regarded film in this kind of glamorous environment. It was, and to see Zach and the actors on the red carpet, it was really inspiring.
Zorga, what about you? What's your relationship to Zach's work?
I love Zach's work because it feels like close to how we have our stories told, like in oral history way. You grow up hearing these elders and all sorts of aunts and uncles and everybody telling these cool stories and you imagine them, but being able to see it on film, Zach's doing such a great job on putting that to the screen. And I know it's not just him, it's he pulls from the community a lot. So being able to see it's so authentic because if you're Inuk, you understand the culture, and he does such a beautiful job of putting that on the screen in a video form.
And that's what we're going to get to with this new movie, Uiksaringitara or Wrong Husband. It won Best Canadian Feature at this year's Toronto International Film Festival. I just want to play just a little bit of the trailer.
Yes.
Weeks for your day. Nyla Qaunaq to the girl.
Kanuin na rin.
Amay, adyong itarang make bigya ka sa akin.
Okay, so in that trailer, for folks listening on the radio, just to introduce what you just heard, you heard two main characters here, which is Qaunaq and Sapa, and they're a young couple in love. They call each other future husband and future wife. Then they're forced to separate, and then we get to see Qaunaq is being pursued by other suitors. I'm not going to spoil for people how this epic love story sort of ends, but now I'll start with you. Can you talk about like what else we need to know to understand the story?
I just think it's an amazing epic that could really and also just kind of is rooted in these human emotions that we've all felt, and it was and just it's stunningly beautiful. But these stories that Zorga has mentioned, we've been told, it's these big impressive stories that have been passed down. Kiviok is one where you could point to parts of a map and people would say, oh, this is where Kiviok was dragged by the polar bear and it caused this fissure in the land. And so these stories are just a big part of part of our lives, and just even seeing that little, I mean, this movie is set 4,000 years ago, but it also just felt so modern to me. And it just felt exactly like how people talk, and how, and even in that clip with the young couple, with their just laughing and teasing each other. And that's so, the way they're just like kind of talking through laughter, that's such an Inuk thing. We are always teasing each other and laughing. And I feel like that's something that maybe is lost in some of the representations of Indigenous communities previously. And so just to be able to see that, it's so nice.
So I was going to say, like, you got to see this movie. You want to talk about what that experience was like at the screening when it was sort of premiering?
It's great to see it with a bunch of other Inuit, because we know all the details and we know what a big deal it is. And you kind of, you know, when you're in a theater, you're supposed to be quiet and you're not supposed to, you're shamed for being loud, but it's so fun to watch with a group of people. It's great. So I kind of had that experience when I watched it on one of the days it was being screened here in Ottawa. And it was so cool because there were some Inuit in the audience, but most of the audience members were non-Inuit. So it was cool to hear both of people's reactions to how different things were. And I would know the significance with different details. And I'd be crying. The first scene that opened, I was crying, and it just felt so healing to see the story on the screen, and I felt so proud to be able to share such an authentic representation of who we are and our stories to all these people, and that they came and are watching this and taking the time to hear our story. Oh, it was so beautiful.
Wait, Zorga, can you, if you don't mind taking me into that theater for a moment, like what are the kinds of things that you'd be hearing going like, oh, that's someone who's Inuit who's recognizing something about this movie that somebody else is maybe not recognizing? Like what's an example of that?
Yeah, like in the trailer you saw this creature thing. Yeah. We know what the creature is. They don't say right off what it is when you're just like, what the heck is what's
they
going
never
on?
explain it.
So
yes.
But Inuit know right away what this creature is. Like, oh, I've never seen such a beautiful costume representing, that's exactly how I imagined. Or it's just like hearing our reaction to it, it was different than like someone not having any context of what this creature is. And we know the significance of what that creature does, and me as a Inuk viewer was trying to tie the significance of this creature to the storyline, but most people wouldn't be able to connect with that. So that was really cool. And being able to like understand Inuktitut and laugh before, like get the jokes before the rest of the audience could read the subtitles, that was fun. And just knowing, like hearing the other Inuit laughing at things that like we know are okay to laugh at, but if you're coming into a culture like that seemed funny, but I'm not sure if I should laugh or not, it was nice to have different types of humor in the audience.
What about you, Nyla? Like when you were watching this movie, like what's a scene that stuck out for you and you're like, oh, that's one of my favorite things because of the way that it was represented in this movie?
Well, I make movies, and I mentioned that I like sci-fi and horror. The practical effects, the Kingulliit, and then the visual effects were so well done, so impressive, and like to see this like epic battle between these shamans, that was just like, what? It was so cool, and it just felt. It was just like did just such good justice to the way stories are told and the types of stories we have that are can be quite dramatic and scary, but it is, and funny. I loved that. I love that moment when the two men are laughing, and then about the joke of the man who's worn through his pants, and then just like that idea of like, don't this idea of don't make fun of people, and then this kind of like underlying thread of like what, like these, because it's like there's so much of like bad luck doing something, or if there's certain things that you're not following. So it's just like the tension that comes with that is is really fun.
I'll tell you what I'm hearing is like from both of you is this idea of recognition, right? Like sort of seeing a movie and sort of feeling immediately kind of like, oh, this movie talks like how I talk, and also sort of thinks the way that I think. Like there's something about the pacing of this movie that sort of, or in the way that it's sort of staged, the way that it's acted, that feels like for you very familiar. Like that's kind of what I'm hearing, this familiarity and recognition. Is that closer to what I'm getting at here, Zorga? Like this idea of when you watch this movie, because for example, there's a lot of like the pacing of the movie is a lot of meditative shots, a lot of shots that don't even necessarily advance the plot as much as we're just kind of sitting with the characters and they're kind of engaged with one another. And there's something really beautiful about being able to sort of be invited to sit in that place. Am I getting closer to what you're reacting to with the movie?
Oh yeah, that's definitely part of it. And when I was thinking about the movie, I thought about like when the first shot opened, I was crying and I was like, what? Which, come on, man, we've seen movies before. Why are we crying so much? But it felt just so authentic to being out on the land out there. Like when you're in the city, you get all caught up with time and being places at certain times and all that. But when you're out in the country or like out in the just the land wherever you are, you're forced to just like sit there. And the North is so unique in that it's so expansive and a lot of spaces don't have trees, so you can just see forever and you realize how in the best way, you realize how tiny and insignificant you are, or I guess significant in the sense that you are part of this giant world and universe. And it is quite meditative, like you say, and it reminded me of like ASMR videos or like what's it called, Studio Ghibli-esque, where like
Hmm.
you just see a scene of somebody making soup, and that's quite part of our culture. We're taught to observe, so that we can learn how to do things. And I talk very fast for an Inuk person,
Hmm.
but Inuit often, especially the elders, will speak a lot slower and take their time to say something. And that's quite within the culture in many other ways to be observant and um, take your time to say and do things
Mm-hmm.
with
I love
care.
that in the
Yeah.
movie too, where you had shots of elders just teaching young people how to make an arrow, and
Yeah.
it was yeah, that was so nice.
The other thing that also stood out for me is that, and I know it stood out for you as well, Nyla, is that you want to talk about the music, right? So the music that was composed for the film is composed by Pilsuk, who is an Inuit throat singing duo. They're sisters. We heard some of that music in that trailer earlier, but what's the thing that stuck out for you with the music?
Oh, I loved the simplicity of it, the way they used the notes that sounded kind of similar to throat singing, um, and the use of breath, but it's like they use some throat singing, but also just layered voices, just
Mm.
simple layered voices. And Charlotte Qaunaq, well, she's my cousin. I mean, they're my cousins,
Mm.
and Charlotte helped Zorga and Anna and myself on throat singing for our last movie. So just even being able to recognize, oh, that's Charlotte's voice. It's such a different experience for us, I imagine, than for others, and it just makes it that much more special. And I know that Charlotte has really taken the time. She's doing research to try and understand the songs that that maybe are being lost, and how they would be performed. And so I mean, to be able to have someone like her who's doing so much work to try and um, maintain the culture, but then also expand on it,
Hmm.
and really uh, I feel like culture is such a living, breathing thing. It just can't stay stagnant. And so to kind of see her and Zach just like making things, kind of expanding on things is, and uh, allowing us to kind of expand into different spaces that other people would would want to visit. And so
Hmm.
it's yeah, I loved the music. I loved how simple it was, and just the drum and the voice, and yeah, it was beautiful. Created so much tension,
Yeah.
and really is like kind of speaks to like this shared breath, like this idea that we're all part of this community. Um,
I love also, I just like, before I let you guys go, I just wanted to say, like, I love that framing that you just said, like the idea of maintaining the culture and also expanding on it, because I often return to this idea of like the explanatory comma, which is sometimes like trying to make a movie or trying to make a book, you know, something that is trying to position itself for a wider audience, but also is aware that it's also trying to talk to a specific community. And this is a movie that does not have a lot of explanatory commas. If you're not familiar with some of the things, it actually is not taking the time to necessarily explain it to you, but it's trying to sort of trust the audience to say you'll still get kind of swept up in this big epic love story. So I just wanted to say I'm grateful for that, and I appreciate your time and your reflections. This has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for being here, you guys.
Thank you. Nice to talk.
Thank you. This was great.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Nyla Innuksuk is a filmmaker from Igloolik. Her next film is In the Heart of the South. It's out next year, featuring Zorga. And Zorga Qaunaq is an actor also from Igloolik. She plays Millie on North of North. And Uiksaringitara, or Wrong Husband, is out in select theaters across Canada now.